My $20,833 federal grant has just been put on hold, and in this video, I'm going to tell you why. As you very well know, if you've been watching any of my previous videos, I partnered with Womply.com to process my application for the Paycheck Protection Program loan. I became an affiliate of their program because they were probably the first financial technology institution to allow you to factor in gross income that you entered in line 7 of your Schedule C IRS Form 1040. So I went ahead and applied for my Paycheck Protection Program loan using Womply and becoming an affiliate. If I shared my link and any of you or anybody else used my link at womply.com/Rod Squad, then they paid me a commission of anywhere from $100 to $200. Now, this is not financial advice. I simply told you that it is what I am doing. Now, the Paycheck Protection Program loan essentially becomes a grant, again, as long as you use the money on approved expenses. Otherwise, if you received one prior to June 5th, 2020, you have to pay it back in 2 years. If you received a Paycheck Protection Program loan/grant after June 5th, 2020, then you have to pay it back in 5 years if you do not qualify for forgiveness. So, being that Womply was probably the first financial institution that allow you to factor in gross income after the Biden administration instituted that rule, then I decided to go ahead and use them. And I became an affiliate, and I told you, listen, they pay me something if you use it. The first snag that people encountered was that if you received an EIDL, an economic injury disaster loan from the Small Business Administration, you were not allowed to use their fast lane system. Now, I bypassed that step because I received an economic injury disaster loan. However, I did not receive it between January 31st and April 3rd, 2020, which if you received an EIDL between that time period, then you have to use part of your Paycheck Protection Program loan/grant to pay that off. So I went ahead and contacted the CEO of the organization, and I told you, why aren't applicants allowed to use your fast lane system to process a Paycheck Protection Program loan application if they received an economic injury disaster loan? He said if you got an EIDL advance, it was okay. But if you got an EIDL loan, it complicates things. And I asked him whether it was because you have to basically deduct the amount of EIDL that you received between January 31st and April 3rd. They didn't get back to me. However, shortly thereafter, the system allowed applicants to file an application using the Womply Fast Lane system without disclosing that they received an EIDL. And I believe they also have a part where you can enter whether you received it between January 31st and April 3rd. So they were quick in correcting that. So I give a number of these fintech organizations the benefit of the doubt because this whole system is new. And that new rule that the Biden administration instituted, it's even newer because prior to that, you could only factor in your net income. And this was the first organization, again, that allowed you to factor in gross income. So I went ahead and filed my application. And the snag that I encountered, like I told you, this is what I am doing, and I'm disclosing my experience. This is how the channel started. I talked about my experiences in applying for the economic injury disaster loan and unemployment, other assistance, etc., and sharing and documenting everything that I was going through. I got the virus myself, my whole family got the virus, and we were going to get assistance in order to keep our business afloat so we can survive, feed our families, to ultimately save this country, because operating a small business, you are essentially contributing to this economy by keeping yourself off the unemployment line and keeping all the people that you hire and all the contractors, and you got more money being pumped and coming back through the economy because of your small business, which, if I tell you, sell something, all right? Because that's all you have to do to become a small business. Anyway, so I went ahead and submitted my application, and now that they allowed you to factor in your gross income, there's a box where if you received more than $100,000 and your average monthly gross income is more than $8,333, you have to enter $8,333. That's on the PPP application. When I filed my application with Womply, they entered in $9,256. So this is a federal document. I'm not going to sign that. So listen, you have to change it. You got to fix it. So I had to wait until they canceled the application so I could resubmit it. So then I went ahead again and I resubmitted an application, and they fixed their system, which is pretty quick. On other organizations, you're trying to get in contact with people, it's hard to get in touch with people. Now, the snag is that under business legal name, they did not enter my business legal name. They entered in my personal name. And there's not a field for you to enter in that business legal name as far as I can remember. So I told them to go ahead and cancel the application so I can resubmit it. Also, they classified me as a sole proprietorship. I run a single member LLC. So they have to correct that and allow me to resubmit the application. I went ahead and communicated that to them. They've been pretty quick. A number of you have had questions in regards to this application. There are some organizations that do perform a soft pull on your credit when applying for the Paycheck Protection Program loan/grant. However, they're not supposed to use a credit score to determine whether you qualify for it. You simply have to prove that you were in business in 2019, 2020. Once you use the funds to pay yourself and to pay for other approved expenses for 8 weeks' time, and you retain the same amount of employees, so if it's just you retain yourself in employment, then you can apply for a second draw of the Paycheck Protection Program loan/grant. However, to qualify for the second draw of the Paycheck Protection Program loan/grant, you have to show a 25% reduction in revenue for a quarter in 2020 when compared to 2019. So just keep those things in mind when applying for these programs. This is a Paycheck Protection Program loan that if you received it prior to June 5th, 2020, you have to pay it off in 2 years. If you received it after June 5th, 2020, you have to pay it off in 5 years. You pay 1% on it. However, if it's forgiven, and as long as you use the money on approved expenses, then the Paycheck Protection Program loan essentially becomes a grant equal to 2.5 times of your monthly income in 2019 or 2020. No personal guarantee or collateral required. So as of right now, I'm waiting for Womply to allow me to submit another application for the Paycheck Protection Program loan and to instruct me on how I have to enter my information for my business and for myself to ensure that it is entered accurately in the application for the Paycheck Protection Program loan that they ultimately submit to the SBA. I'm still going to use Womply to submit my application for the Paycheck Protection Program loan nonetheless, because they've been the fastest in instituting changes to accommodate my business's needs, and they've been responsive. Therefore, I'll continue to use them. However, again, this is not financial advice, simply what I am doing. If they're not working for you, feel free to use somebody else.